there's just those days where you roll out of bed and you're like, I can't today. I don't want to look at myself in the mirror. I don't want to critique everything. I don't want someone to sit there and tell me that I'm not good enough at this. Some days, if you're not in the mental state, it's hard.
Mhm.
And so that's where the community and knowing that you can walk into the room and your mental state can improve because the people you're around. If you're in a toxic environment, your mental's only going to go more toxic. Because even all of us in the best environments still have those days where it's just like, I need a mental health day. And
Mhm.
as dancers, that's one I don't think we talk about. We need a mental health day, and what we do is hard.
I'm Caitlin, a former professional ballerina turned dance educator and career mentor, and this is the Brainy Ballerina podcast. I am here for the aspiring professional ballerina who wants to learn what it really takes to build a smart and sustainable career in the dance industry. I'm peeling back the curtain of the professional dance world with open and honest conversations about the realities of becoming a professional dancer. Come along to gain the knowledge and inspiration you need to succeed in a dance career on your terms.
Hello and welcome to the Brainy Ballerina podcast. I'm your host, Caitlin Sloan, and I am joined today by Toby Lewellen. Toby was a professional dancer for 11 years with Ballet Arkansas, and he currently serves as the Director of Development and on faculty at Boca Ballet Theatre. Toby, I'm so excited to reconnect with you today, and let's start from the beginning of your dance journey. Why did you take your very first dance class?
Yeah, good to see you. Long time no see. For those who don't know, Caitlin and I went to college together, Grand Valley, for 1 year.
1 year, yep.
We'll get to that. I started dancing very first class I ever took dance-wise was a tap class because my sister refused to go in without me. And I did it for a year and I was Pinocchio in sequins Lederhosen and I hated it. By the end, I was done. And then I didn't dance for a year and then my sister did the Nutcracker and I got to go backstage at Nutcracker. And that's when my eyes were open to this is way more than just like sequence in a recital. Like this is a thing. So I started taking ballet. I was 9. So it was 8 or 9 when I saw the Nutcracker. And then the next year I was like, I want to do that. And then so I was a party boy. And I was like, well, I want a better part. And they're like, well, if you want a better part, you have to take class. So that was the beginning of the end.
And what was your training like growing up?
I did normal high school. So I went to school all day. And then I was usually at the studio by like 4:30, Monday through Thursday. We didn't have classes on Fridays because they kept us all day Saturday. And I was usually there from 4:30 to 8:30 or 9 o'clock most days.
And you were at a pre-pro ballet school?
Yeah, it was Peoria Ballet. It's still, I think they're 40 something years old now.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a pre-pro school. I mean, we had our divisions and you have some like, it wasn't really recreational. It was more like, we're here for ballet. This is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't do competitions outside of, we did Grand Prix when I was there. I don't know if they still do. It's been a while since I've been home.
Yeah.
So we were very much ballet focused. I mean, we took our jazz on Saturday mornings and that was like, that was it.
Yeah. How did you decide to attend college for dance?
I was not forced. I was gently nudged by my parents that that would be a better idea. I didn't really have the desire to go to college. I wanted to dance. And I went to Milwaukee Ballet for the summer and I got MB2, Milwaukee Ballet 2. And my mom was kind of like, we'll support you, but we won't support you. And so it came down to making the decision, am I going to go to college? Am I going to dance? And that's when I ended up at Grand Valley because I was so late getting stuff together because I didn't want to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
But Jefferson knew me because I went to Blue Lake. And so I'd known Jefferson, who was head of the department at the time, since I was 12 years old. And so we kind of had a back and forth. And I came and took one class and I got into the department and it was like, okay, this is what I'm doing. I go to Grand Valley and I'll work with Jefferson. I know him. I like him. It's fine. That's how I ended up at Grand Valley for the year. But then when Jefferson said he was leaving, that was like my whole reason for going. So I was kind of like, I wanted to go to Butler in the first place, but because I was so late getting stuff together, I missed the last audition at Butler was a weekend we had shows. So it was like, you either choose to perform in your senior ballet or you choose to audition for a school. And I chose to perform. And was like, we'll figure that out. And so when I got the chance, I transferred. I went ahead and did it all on my own. Didn't really talk to my parents about that one. I was just like, I'm going to go down, take the train, do a weekend. I actually got snowed in Indianapolis and had to call Grand Valley and be like, I'm going to not be there. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was a pretty easy trip from Grand Rapids to Indy, right?
Yeah, it was like a 4-hour train ride.
Yeah.
So it was easy. And then I could go and take class on Monday. Was supposed to be back by Tuesday, but the trains weren't running because they got like 3 feet of snow.
Yeah. And of course, Grand Valley would still be opened.
Oh, yeah. We didn't close. We didn't close. I remember the Super Bowl. We got a phone call the Super Bowl Sunday that year saying there was a snow day tomorrow. Everyone freaked out because we never got snow days.
Yeah, I remember that too.
That was partially the reason for transferring. It started snowing in like October and it didn't stop snowing until April. I was like, this is ridiculous.
I know, and it was rough as freshmen having to walk across the entire
Yes.
campus from our dorms. It was better post
As you got
freshman
older.
year. Yeah, but that
Yeah, I
year was the
remember
hardest.
crossing, so much of campus in the snow every day.
Hmm.
Because the dance studio was kind of far away from our dorms, wasn't it?
It was the exact opposite end of campus, which
Yeah,
campus
that's what I
wasn't
thought.
gigantic. It was maybe like a 15-minute walk, but when you're walking through,
That's why I would end up staying
3
at
feet of
Flo's
snow.
house on the weekend, so I only had to walk
Yes.
across the street.
That's true. There were like 3 dorms that just happened to be right next to the dance studio that one of the dancers we were friends with lived right there, right?
Us and Fernando.
Yeah.
Fernando's at Giordano now? Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so when you went to Butler, what was that experience like for you? Did you feel like being there really prepared you for your professional career?
Oh, yeah. Butler, the way they treated us, it was company life. Like you had your academics that you kind of knocked out in the morning, but starting at noon, 12:20, we had ballet class. And the rest of the day till 6, I was in the studio every day. And when I transferred, randomly enough, I transferred in and I was the only boy in the incoming class that year,
Really?
which was really weird. So I kind of had this weird spot where I was a transfer, so I was at the same age as the other guys, but because I went from a state school to a private school, I basically dropped back down to freshman status.
Hmm.
I had all my electives done. My electives for my entire college career were done by the time I got there, but I had to drop
Mhm.
back. I ended up making friends with my class. My wife was in my class at Butler.
Oh,
So if I
cool.
wouldn't have transferred, I wouldn't have met her.
All those sliding doors.
Yeah. And that one, yeah. Now she ended up coming to Ballet Arkansas. She did a year in Sarasota and then came to BA. Butler was good. I learned how to like work. It was kind of like I had gone through most of my like high school stuff resting on my laurels of being a boy.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm harder on the guys now because of that. I'm like, I know how easy your path can be just to get through, and people are just going to let you kind of eke by, and it's fine because you're a boy and we don't want you to quit. Looking back, it's like, I wish they would have been a little more like they were with the girls with me.
Hmm.
Because I did. I got away with murder. I'd like senior year, I just started skipping class. I was like, I'm not going to go this week. They're not going to do anything.
Right. There's no understudy. There's no.
It's high school. Like, they're not going to do anything. They're going to take my part away. I'm just going to skip this
Mhm.
weekend. It's prom. I don't care.
And of course, yeah, like you said, if a girl did that, we would be out of the piece.
It's a double standard.
Yeah.
Because even at Grand Valley, there was only like 5 of us.
Yeah.
Like 5 or 6.
Mhm.
I saw you did Lars. I haven't thought about Lars in so many years. And then I saw
I
your podcast
know.
thing with Lars. I was like,
And
oh my
Lars
gosh, he was such a baby.
I know. Well, yeah, and him and Jordan were in high school, so they weren't even technically college students.
Yeah, that's right.
So they were maybe, yeah, I think 6.
So
Boys
6,
in the
including the high
program.
school kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Butler, I went to, and there's 22 boys. And I am now the new guy, the only new guy. I have no one to rest on of like, this is my group. Nah. So those first few weeks until I knew people, the goofy Toby in the back of class that could chit chat, it just didn't happen.
Hmm.
Like the seniors are trying to get jobs. It's a whole different game that we've entered into, which was good. It pushed me. I mean, I had pushback at times because I didn't like being pushed. It was harder, but it's what I needed, I think, when I needed it. And I wouldn't have gotten Ballet Arkansas if I wasn't at Butler, because the head of the department at Butler knew the woman that was working at Ballet Arkansas and on the board. And so it was like, we need a boy. They came and watched class. I remember they set up a chair in the corner by my bar spot. And I'm all like nervous through bar. And I'm like, no one's coming. It's still empty. All of bar, no one came. I was like, okay, I guess they're not coming. And then they walked in for center. And I'd like let my guard down a little bit because I thought they weren't coming. And I was like, and they watched all of center, and then we met afterwards, and they offered me a contract. And I had Nashville Ballet too, but this was full company, and pay was just a little bit more, just a little bit, not much. It was one that I was like, okay, this is full company, and I'll dance. It's 1 year. I'll get company experience, and I will move on.
Why did you think you would move on after a year?
I mean, I had my own preconceived notions about Arkansas.
Yeah.
Unfairly to the state that I learned to love very much, and the community I absolutely fell in love with, which is, I think, half the reason I wanted to stay so long, because the community I found there was amazing. Also, I mean, my wife, Amanda, she came after my first year, she joined us. And then there was another girl from Butler, Leslie, that we all danced together. So we all knew each other. We were very comfortable. And it was when, like, my first company meeting at Ballet Arkansas was me, Leslie, and Lauren. There were 3 dancers. That was it. Because there was some upheaval and some changes happened and people left.
Wait, so you joined the company and there was 3 dancers?
Well, when I joined, I thought there was 8. And when we got to our first company meeting, we found out we'd dropped down to the 3 of us, 2 incoming and 1 that was staying.
Wow.
That first year was kind of like, we ended up with 5. And so we did Nutcracker with 3 boys.
Did you have a large school? How did you pull that off?
Ballet Arkansas uses community casts.
Okay.
So they bring in kids from studios throughout the community, and now they have a school of their own that they pull from. But I think it's still a community cast aspect because they like community involvement. So we had kids that would do like core and snowflakes. We're all like high school kids, and we filled out the leads. And then my next year, the company ended up becoming 7. Next year we were 10. Next year we're 14, and now I think they're sitting at 16 or 17 dancers. I was going to leave, and that's what I was saying, was going to be one and done, because it was company experience. I was going to go to something bigger and better. Every dancer has that dream. I'm going to go, dance on this massive stage and do that thing. And then I kind of learned that I was happy with where I was. I was getting to dance a ton, and I was realistic with who I was. And like, if I go to like a bigger company, I'm not going to get to do what I'm getting to do. Especially, I didn't want to go backwards. I was like, I'm already getting to do soloists and lead roles. I really don't want to jump back into the core because now I've been here for 5 years.
Mhm.
But coming in, it's always that scary. I remember the one year I really thought, we're going to leave this year. We're going to leave. And then Michael Bearden, who was the director at the time, who's now the head of the department at Oklahoma, came in and said, so next year we're going to talk rep. We're going to do the concert version of Balanchine's Who Cares? And I was like, okay, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying. I grew up with teachers that loved Balanchine, and I'd seen Who Cares, and it was like one of my favorites because it's got that jazzy kind of easy aspect to it, and it's partnering. It's all partnering. There's a little solo, but it's partnering, and that's what I love. That's what I was always best at. Yeah, so I got to do Who Cares, which was amazing. So then the next year, like the rep kept growing, and it was like, okay, next year we're going to do Wheeled In. Next year we'll do DeMille. Then we're bringing in like Flockworks and all these different contemporary choreographers, and so our season bill was so varied. Like, once you got done with a classical show, it was like, okay, we're going to roll around on the ground for the next 6 weeks. And it was like, so I never felt like stuck in my like fulfillment of what I was doing. Because I like classical, but the older I got, the more I fell in love with the rolling around on the ground. Finding the motion, taking them and playing with it. Where you have your technique, but then you find a comfort in yourself where you're like, I loved it when the choreographers came in and said, well, what do you think you can do from this position? Well, I don't know. Let's see. Well, how do you get out of it? Let's see. And it was that kind of like play. It became play. Where classical, yes, it's play, but it's not that kind of play. Not the like where your brain is constantly going, what is okay, I've got this girl in this position. This is the picture they want. Okay, how can I get what they want? Like with classical, it's very much just spit out at you. Like, this is what you're going to do. Here you go.
Right.
Which is fine. And I like a good, Swan Lake. Don't get me wrong. I love it. But as the older I got, I realized the contemporary didn't hurt as bad.
Yeah.
It didn't hurt as bad.
Depends.
Yes, some of the heavier stuff. But I was always just the ox throwing a girl around. You put me behind a woman, and I'm the most confident dancer you will ever see.
So what was it like dancing with your wife? Did you partner a lot?
We did. We did R&J together. We did Odile and Siegfried. Or Odette and Siegfried, we did White Swan. Because when we were at BA, they didn't have quite enough dancers to do full bills. So we did Act 2 Swan Lake or Don Q Suite. Like, we did Pas de Deux suites. This year, they got to do Swan Lake with a full orchestra, which more power to the company. That's fantastic. I'm a little jealous. But no, we danced together a lot. I like dancing with my wife because a lot of the connection came easy. But at times, it's also hard because you are dancing with your wife and your partner. And, if you have a crappy rehearsal, you might go home. It's harder to separate the two. And I feel like sometimes when you're so close that the littlest tone can be read the wrong way with you're just like partnering with a friend, it's kind of like, okay, they can just forgive you. They don't take it so personally. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love dancing with her. She's wonderful, easy to partner, and we do work well together. But yeah, there are moments that we had our pushback in the studio.
Yeah.
Might have gotten awkward for other people in the room.
But that makes sense when you have such a close relationship.
Well, yeah, and you think about dancers, our job is just so kind of like intimate anyway. And so like you've got people in the mirror critiquing how you're interacting with your partner, and you're already struggling with each other. And then it's like all eyes are on it. So then you feel like you're in a fishbowl. It was hard at times, but I mean, we made it work. I mean, I danced a lot with one of the dancers that's still there, Meredith. And we had a whole different, like, we could do anything. We had this relationship, kind of the same, but different with Amanda. Like, the total trust was there. I knew where she was going to be. She knew where I was going to be. It was like the consistency. We worked well together. I kind of got partnered with anyone that they needed, switching around. But that was, I mean, we also only did have 6 guys. So we still had to do some work as the boys.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite role that you danced in your career?
I have a few. Total not dance related. Just one of my all-time favorite times on stage is Stepsisters and Cinderella. Being an ugly stepsister was just, there's a freedom to it. You could fall on your face and just ham it up. If
Mm-hmm.
you trip over your skirt, trip over your skirt. It's one of those that anything can go wrong on stage right now and it doesn't matter, which as a dancer is so rare for us. There's always the pressure of like, I have to be this character, even if the steps are easy, I want to portray the role, where it's like, I just get to be a ham. And my best friend Paul was the other stepsister. So it's like, we just got to be two total goofballs in rehearsal all day. Like the second we put the skirts on for rehearsal, like it was game on. Toby and Paul are gone. The ugly ladies are in the house. Watch out.
Yeah, I got to do stepsisters too at MCB, and me and my friend Nikki were the stepsisters, and it was, I agree, so fun. We call ourselves Bink and Bonk, and that was like our
Yeah.
alter egos when we got into that role. And
Yeah,
one of my favorite
it's
experiences.
just
too.
one of those where you're just like, yeah, you get the freedom to fall on your face on stage and
Mhm.
it's fine.
Yep.
Other ones we did The Great Gatsby, and I liked being, I can't think of his name right now. George. George is the one with Myrtle, the guy that owns the garage that ends up shooting Gatsby. That was fun. That was one where Meredith and I were George and Myrtle, and we had a paw where we were basically fighting it out in the kitchen.
Mhm.
And at the end of that, she like runs in the street, and that's when she gets hit by the car. Sorry, spoilers for no one that's read The Great Gatsby in high school. And it's just one of those moments where what they did with the lights, I'm chasing her, and the whole stage goes black except for the side light in my face, which is like the headlights of the car. And then I get to have a whole solo where I lose it. And that's one of the few times where I lost it on stage. Like I went into the wings and had to just sob because you bring yourself there, and it's like, okay, now I have to just stop. What? This is hard, but it worked because then you're in the wings and you're kind of tight. And then I have a gun and I have to go shoot Gatsby. So it's like, okay, work with it.
Mhm.
But it's like one of those emotional ones, like you're fighting. We were dancing, but we were fighting. I hate to say it. She did have a slight whiplash because we went for it that night. That one was a lot of fun. And that was one, I mean, we got to do some classical stuff, but it was still very in the contemporary realm. I enjoyed those ballets. Like we did Sleepy Hollow and Dracula, the ones that are like, they're stories, but they're less of
Yeah.
like, this is what everyone does. But yeah, Gatsby was fun. And then the other one, I mean, R&J with Amanda. Nothing like Macmillan's. We just did the balcony paddle, but it's one of those with your partner. It's like, yeah, it's one of those I'll hold special. And then the last really special one is we retired with Giselle Pop. I can't hear that music without getting a little.
Oh.
Well, it's, I mean, that's a whole, it's us dancing together. And then it's a whole, like, I'm saying goodbye to all of this,
Mhm.
which I knew it was time. Like, I knew after COVID was hard because I'd danced for so long and it was like, this is what I have to do. I do this. This is me. And then I took a year off because we basically got a phone call in March and said, sorry, you're unemployed until November of the same year. So it was like we took 9 months off. It was the first time in as long as I can remember that I didn't have to go to dance. I didn't have to. And going back was hard because it was one of those that I realized that I didn't necessarily have the desire to do it every day. And like I thought I did because that was the motions. And then when other things changed and I found other hobbies or things that I enjoyed doing, and it was like, it's beautiful outside right now. I just want to go for a hike. I want to go play disc golf with my friends. I don't want to be in the studio all day on this beautiful spring afternoon. There were moments that never used to bother me.
Mm.
And I think it was because I was just having more fun. And then injuries. Injuries kind of plagued the end of my year. I spent the last half of my season at BA, my final season, in a boot with stress fractures in my metatarsal heads. I had an edema and then a stress fracture. And every time I would go back, it would be fine. And then I'd go to take class and it would just flare up again. I was in a boot for 3.5 months. And so I got to watch everyone else finish out the season. And the weirdest thing was that I was okay. And that's when I knew I was like, okay, you made the right choice. Like, I'm not gutted right now watching. I'm having fun watching my friends have fun. Part of me, yes, is missing performing, but I'm not missing all the stress that they have right now. Yeah. And so that was kind of one of those that it was like, okay, you made the right decision. As much as this sucks right now, it was good to see that I can be in front of house and it's okay. I can still enjoy being around the audience and seeing people and seeing how they react to the show, but in a different aspect. Which, knowing that I was leaving already, because by the time at that point, we knew we were going to Boca. I knew that that could be very much part of my job is watching from the wings or from the front. I still dance some here, which is great. You know, if they need me, I strap on the tights. I did Hilarion 2 years ago.
That's a full circle moment. I remember you doing Hilarion at Grand Valley.
That's yes, dying. Those girls just love to kill me.
That's a fun part for the Willies.
Hilarion's a fun part too, because
Yeah.
everyone's like, he's the bad guy. And I'm like, is he though? He's not. If you really
No.
think about Hilarion, all he really cares about is Giselle. And he's like, dude, this dude is screwed up.
He's just wrong place, wrong time.
Maybe his tact was a little off, but Albrecht's the bad guy.
Yeah,
Seemed
oh, for
hilarious.
sure.
Seemed hilarious. But that was fun because we got to do it with Sterling Baca and Oksana Maslova from Philadelphia Valley. You get to feel like you're in that realm with your group again.
Mhm.
Professionals, the acting and stuff is fun.
When it comes to dance ticketing solutions, I have tried them all, and honestly, none can hold a candle to DRT, the premier online ticketing provider for dance studios. Whether you're planning a recital, a summer camp, or the Nutcracker, DRT is the one I recommend over and over again. So what sets them apart? DRT offers turnkey solutions and custom ticketing sites completely free. Plus, their dedicated customer service team works extended hours to support both you and the dance studio and your patrons. I have been lucky enough to experience their incredible customer service firsthand, and I am always blown away. No request is too crazy. They always find a way to make it happen so that you can sit back and focus on the dancing, knowing your customers are in great hands. Are you ready to get started? Tap the link in the show notes to learn more, and be sure to mention that the Brainy Ballerina referred you.
So what was that transition like? How did you end up at Boca Ballet Theatre from Arkansas?
I, at Butler, actually went to school with this girl, Natalie Parker, now Natalie Parker Beck. She grew up at Boca Valley. She was a dancer at Butler. And I think it was my first year at Ballet Arkansas. They needed a boy for grad ball that could partner and looked young enough to dance the like lovey paw with some 16-year-old. I mean, I didn't change a whole lot since college. Like I have always had a baby face. So you put enough makeup on, I can look real like 12-year-old boy if I have. And so I came and did that. And then I came down for Nutcracker every year and did Prince, Arabian Spanish, Party Dad, Clara's Dad, and basically made friends with the directors and people down here. And then it came talking in my head, talking about transition and moving on. And they were looking for a development director. And I studied arts admin at Butler. I was dance arts admin. And so it's like, I have an idea of what that I mean, I've danced for so long. I've been through the company life. I kind of know how the donor stuff works. Grants, I did learn how to write. It's going to be a refresher course once we get looking at them again. But it was one of those that they needed one. And I needed something to do, and it kind of was good for both of us. The timing was right for everyone. And I was comfortable down here. I had friends down here. So when they were like, hey, would you like director of development? And then you could be on faculty. And then Amanda also came and joined faculty. So it was kind of like the perfect situation where we both had something when we were moving. And so we moved here June 2022 and started at Summer Intensive was our first. Or I mean, I'd been at Boca for Nutcracker, so I've been around, but was like our first, like, this is all day, every day. Boca Ballet Summer Intensive is like any other summer intensive. It's a full house, but the difference is there's 5 different directors teaching class. Since I've been here, there's been like Peter Bull, Michael Pink, Adam Skloot, all come down for a week and teach. And so it's fun for us because I get to sneak into class every once in a while with some directors that like I had Michael Pink when I was at Milwaukee when I was 13 years old. So having him again as an adult, full circle, it's just these weird moments where you realize how small the dance world actually is and how connected the dance world actually is.
Yeah.
And like Giordano, our friend Fernando dances at Giordano. Well, one of his partners for a lot of stuff is a girl, Sasha, who graduated from Boca Ballet. And our directors were actually dancers for Giordano back in the 80s and 90s. And so it's like Nan Giordano comes every summer and does jazz for our dancers. And so she's bringing dancers and they get to learn Giordano rep. And so it's just like, it's so weird how full circle the dance world gets.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's cool to see that one too, because it's summer and you get to see all the college kids vying for jobs and everyone's working really hard.
Yeah. So can you talk more about that summer intensive structure and what that looks like? Because it sounds like a little bit different than maybe some other summer intensives, and a great opportunity for dancers to be seen and work.
It is.
Directors, because I feel like that's one of the hardest parts for a lot of dancers. Like if you don't feel like you are the kind of person who shines in an audition, like an hour and a half audition, but you're the kind of person who, like, once they get to know you,
right,
you're the person that they want to work with. It sounds like a good opportunity for those dancers.
Yes. I mean, this year it's even more interesting because we have 4 ballet directors and then Nan Giordano. So this year, Nick Milliken and James Safranco from Nashville and Grand Rapids Ballet are coming for the first 2 weeks together. Usually it's one director each week, but this year they're coming together because they are each choreographing on the students as well. So these, students are also going to get the chance to have reps set on them by the choreographer. So These directors are going to see how they work in our realm and like, how quick can you pick this up? How much are we going to have to spend time? How much is this? So it's going to be really interesting. And then they also get the luxury of seeing them for 2 weeks. Each director alternate class in the studio for 2 weeks. I've done summer intensives. I know directors poke their heads in, but it's rare for them to sit and teach a whole class, let alone a whole week. Because artistic directors, the company doesn't stop when summer starts. Like they still have a job to do. So for them to stop and come to us for a week and teach these students, I mean, they're taking time away from their own students, their own school, but they're also seeing the benefit of getting that one-on-one interaction also with the students. They're getting to see more than just an hour and a half ballet class. They're getting to see how you work. They're getting to see how you interact with other people because the directors are around all day. They eat lunch. They do a lunch with the dancers where the dancers can literally ask them anything. They'll sit down on Wednesdays and we bring all the tables in and say, let's do director's lunch. And this year we have also Mikkel Barina from Louisville Ballet. She's the new director at Louisville. And Adam Splu's coming back from Ballet West. You got Nashville, Grand Rapids, Ballet West, and Louisville. Those are like solid companies, especially for dancers coming out of college. That's where we were all auditioning.
Mm-hmm.
It's where we were like, okay, these are all the companies that we want. They're like not the big old NYCB, which everyone wants, New York City Ballet or ADT, but there's also these companies that are fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun to see the directors because they don't teach classes often anymore for like students. So it's fun to see them get back into that game too. You notice the dancers that really take advantage of it because there are dancers that will catch them in the hallway and just try to chat. Here's my resume. Here's my bio. Here's my CV, like headshots. They get the opportunity to stand one-on-one with the directors and hand them this packet as they're talking to them after they've worked with them for 3 days. By the end of the week, the directors know there's only 36 dancers in the program. The directors know everyone's name. We've had people get jobs from the summer because, like you said, right place, right time. But we've also had people get jobs the next season because the directors knew who they were when they showed up at the cattle call. The director was already like, oh, I know how she works. Okay. One of the girls got into Grand Rapids Ballet.
That's a good point because I was thinking just now, it's so late in the year. They may not have as many contracts available at that point. Of course, things happen, we all know. But that's a really good point that you bring up of like that forward thinking relationship. You're not just building it for this coming season, but for the future.
No, and you could also, in total retrospect, you could take class with this director and go, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I would not be happy in that environment. And we've all had ballet teachers that we click with and ballet teachers that you don't.
Mm-hmm.
We've all had it. Personalities sometimes just don't meld. It's a great way to figure that out too. And it's like you're also auditioning them a little bit. You get to not just have 1 hour and a half where everyone's so in their head and neurotic and nervous because it's an audition and you don't want to get tapped on the shoulders after Tondu's and said thank you. You get to have this moment where I get to take this entire class and I'm going to get to take this entire class tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And I'm going to get to interact, and the directors can come and watch them rehearse with other things so they see how they work in different styles and aspects. They even do hip hop on Fridays. The guy Larry we have come is great with hip hop for those ballet dancers because as a ballet dancer, I would not be a hip hopper. I don't think it would work.
I love that you bring up the concept of auditioning them because I always tell dancers that too. Like, it's not just about if they want you. Do you want to go there?
Yeah. And because it's real. I mean, as dancers, so much of our job is tough. It's hard. It's a grind. And if you're in the place you love the most, it's still a grind. Like, I loved my fellow company members. They were the reason I went to work most days because it was just like, I don't want to let them down because they want me to show up and do my job. But I would rather do anything else but this right now. There's just those days where you roll out of bed and you're like, I can't today. I don't want to look at myself in the mirror. I don't want to critique everything. I don't want someone to sit there and tell me that I'm not good enough at this. Some days, if you're not in the mental state, it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where the community and knowing that you can walk into the room and your mental state can improve because the people you're around. If you're in a toxic environment, your mental's only going to go more toxic. Because even all of us in the best environments still have those days where it's just like, I need a mental health day. And as dancers, that's one I don't think we talk about. We need a mental health day. And what we do is hard.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike other jobs, we wrap our identity into it. And that was one of the hardest things that I didn't realize until I retired. That it was like, I'm not going to rehearsal. I don't know what I am. I don't know. Like, I had my career. It's like a weird thing. Like what I dreamt of doing when I was 12, I did it. Most people, if they want to be a doctor, by the time they get to my age, are finally settled into their
Hmm.
doctorhood or I don't know, not a doctor. I mean, like they're past residency, they've gone through all these steps, and now they're getting settled. Where by the time we get to our age, we're out. We're the old folks, late 30s.
It's so true that it's like when you're starting your career, you're so young and physically you feel great, but mentally you're not quite there yet.
No,
And then by the time you mentally get there and you feel
the
like,
body can't do it anymore.
yeah, and
Yes.
it's
After
heartbreaking.
30, something clicked where the pressure to be perfect and put myself as a square peg in their round hole was gone.
Hmm.
I knew what my strengths were and I'm going to work towards them. And I know what tricks I'm not good at. So if we have a variation, can I not do that trick, please? And I knew to stand up for myself to be like, if you want it to look better, I'm going to be really stressed out about that. Can we not do the double revoltade? I hate going sideways on an axle. It freaks me out. Can we do any other one? Split sleeps, whatever. I just don't. Okay, that's fine. Once you learn to be like, it's going to be better for all of us. But it takes a certain comfort level in the studio and being there long enough to look at the director and be like, I understand, but here where I'm coming from. And it
Hmm.
was nice. I think things are changing slightly with our generation. My director at Ballet Arkansas, when we left, Michael Fothergill, he's a little bit older than us, but not like so much older than us. So he kind of is in that same realm of like, yes, dancers are tools, but they're also human beings. And let's not forget that. And I feel like old school ballet, we were just tools. We were not
Yeah.
humans. It was nice that we could have a rapport and he understood. We would have different variations. Every guy would have a different step here or there because they like going this way or which way can you do it? It was a little
Hmm.
more like, I want you to dance your best. So let's do this.
Yeah. I've definitely gone into, existing rep, like even in a contemporary ballet company where there was maybe a solo that was choreographed for a previous dancer. And then when that came time for do my solo, I've had the choreographer say, this was a solo for her.
Uh huh.
Let's make a solo for you.
We've had that in company life between cast A and cast B.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I know that they're cast A and we set this on them, but you need to take ownership for yourself. So that's not your timing. Don't try to force yourself into their, because you know how contemporary works a lot of times are. You have here to here. However you make it work between here and here, that's on you.
Hmm.
There's not like 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Like everything has a count. Sometimes there are, but a lot of times it's like, here's the motion we're gonna go through.
You could have more creative license with
Yeah. It's going to
the
take you as long as it's going to
musicality.
take you, but you know someone's coming on stage at that point in that corner. So you need, once you start knowing that they're coming, you got to speed up.
Hmm.
If you really get lost in the moment somewhere, that's the playing that I like. That was like where the
Yeah.
contemporary became fun. It was like you get to play with the music between point A and point B.
Hmm. I'm curious how you approach this with your students, because I totally agree. Like at a professional level, there's a point where you can have this conversation of, hey, can we maybe look at a different step here or whatever.
Mhm.
With a student, if they said to you, like, hey, this isn't my best thing, there's that they're learning. And as a professional, you're learning too. So at what point would you be like, let's push and
Yeah.
work on this step? Or, hey, let's maybe change this for you?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, not liking Revoltods. I'm in my 30s. I've been trying to do it for 10 years. I just don't like it. But there is a point with kids and like Grand Prix, I'm pretty a stickler with this is the variation that you're going to do. Now, if we get down to it and you're really struggling, I'm not going to let you go on stage and look like a fool. We'll fix it and make it, but you're going to try to get
Hmm.
this version and these steps and try to do it. But day to day kids, like I'm the mean teacher, like no skirts, no junk, nothing in class. You guys are students. When you bring me a paycheck, you can wear a skirt at bar. There's a point where kids nowadays have gotten so comfortable in their own little, like, I'm going to wear my Umicos and we have a uniform. Everyone's in uniform for a reason. No one's got the fanciest things. And as boys, like, I think part of it is the chip on my shoulder for being a boy that we had black tights and a white t shirt, black tights and a white t shirt. There was no fancy tights. There was no go to summer intensives and the girl have all the print leotards and wear black tights and a white t-shirt. We didn't get to hide behind our fashion. And also, you're in school, black and pink.
That's so interesting because that doesn't bother me at all as a teacher. Like, of course, we all have our things.
That junk. Uh-uh.
And the junk is one thing because I'm like, I truly can't see what's going on.
Well, we have uniform at the school, so I mean,
Yes,
school regulations.
of course you have to enforce, whatever your uniform is and that kind
Yeah.
of thing. But it's just interesting because that's like one thing where I'm like, I feel like I dance better when I'm wearing a cute leotard.
No, I get it. It's and then for them at that age, it's a crutch.
You think?
I think they like to hide behind their different fashions and like, but they also end up spending half the class playing with it, trying to makes it look cute. Oh, do I look cute? Do I look cute? No, you look like in a black leotard like everybody else. We're not here to look cute. We're here to do ballet. And
Hmm.
I think sometimes with teenage girls, I don't have the patience for it all. And that's just me being a guy.
Yeah, I guess I was a teenage girl, so I
like
know what it's
wearing
like.
jeans and a t-shirt, shorts and a t-shirt. Like we're pretty easygoing. And so
Yeah, that makes
but at
sense.
the same time, it comes in, especially us, where we live in Boca, we've got all levels of the socioeconomical ladder.
Hmm.
And so when they walk in class in a uniform and you take away, just because she's coming in her hand-me-down block leotard versus her in her third new Yumiko for the week, it takes that away.
Yeah.
It brings everyone back to the level playing field. And I think that's where I like uniforms because I was one that my mom would not have been able to afford all that extra stuff. And so whatever we got extra was because we paid for it or we figured it out. And we got to wear those in
Hmm.
rehearsals and things. And that's what it was. But when it was class time, it's class time. And we're all here for the same thing. And it's not a fashion show. Because, that poor girl that can't afford all that stuff might not love the fact that she's the only one in the corner not wearing it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Especially, yeah, in like South Florida, there's some moolah down here. There's
Yeah.
also people that live just like the rest of us, paycheck to paycheck. And
Yeah.
so when you get in the studio, you don't want them to notice that difference. I want them to,
We're just here to dance.
yeah, you're here to dance and you're here to be secure in your own thing.
Hmm.
And so I like uniform for that reason.
Yeah.
And like we let them wear whatever they want for rehearsals. When it's time for rehearsal, go put on your Yumiko, do your thing. Because not everyone has to do the show.
I feel like just personally as a teacher, I want the opposite.
I want the uniformity in rehearsal. Yeah, I get
Because then
that.
I get like overwhelmed. I'm like, I can't see this diagonal because there's too many things
patterns
going on.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like if there's just one thing I can see it better, like just for my
Yes.
personal brain. But
I think a lot of times rehearsals is because it's Saturday and they're there all day. So it's like, all right,
you gotta have something to.
we'll let you be cute
you
for the
through.
day that you're going to be here for 4 hours for rehearsal. But
There is so much dancers need to learn as they pursue a professional dance career. It can be completely overwhelming. Where do you even start? With your intention. To me, this is the first step in defining success on your terms. Once you have an intention for your career based on your core values, you can begin to hone in on a strategy to make your goals a reality. But without it, you will always feel out of alignment, out of control, and ultimately unfulfilled in your career. So, how do you figure out what success means to you? With the Brainy Ballerina Intentional Career Handbook. This is not just your ordinary book. The Intentional Career Handbook walks you through everything you need to think about as you embark on your dance career. With over 50 guided question prompts, you will dive deep into determining what really matters to you in a dance career based on your individual core values. By the end of this handbook, you will not only be crystal clear on your goals, but in the mindset you need to make it happen. Tap the link in the show notes to download your copy today and start pursuing your dance career with intention.
Can you tell us what else you're doing at Boca so I know that you're on faculty and teaching? What's your role as director of development? Can you tell us a little bit about that admin aspect of it?
I am in charge of fundraising. It's a tough job. As much as we all love the arts and what the arts can do, sometimes it's a hard sell to have people just give money. But if it wasn't for people like me doing my job now, when I was a kid, my school wouldn't have been there, a nonprofit dance school. Because Boca Valley is a nonprofit. The school, the company, everything's a nonprofit. Some schools have the company touch, but the school is for profit and the company's nonprofit. No, it's all under the same nonprofit umbrella. And so ticket sales, everything goes to pay for programming in the shows and our outreach program. Like I said, yeah, if it wasn't for someone doing this job when I was a kid, I wouldn't have had somewhere in a space. And I knew when I was done dancing professionally, I wanted to work around kids. Just because as much as I like professional dancers, ego is hard to deal with sometimes. And adults are a whole different game where you have to tiptoe a line. We're both adults. I don't know if I should critique you or in like a rehearsal aspect. It's hard to switch from being friends to being your boss. Like I have a harder time with that detachment with adults. I'm getting easier at it as I get older.
Yeah, as you get more removed.
But I feel like coming out, teaching some 25-year-olds when I was 30 something was kind of like,
Yeah, no, it's like when I was 22 teaching 18-year-olds in high school, even I was like, we're only a few years apart.
But I mean, I had to do it with adults. When we were doing summers dancing at Ballet Arkansas, my wife Amanda and I worked residence at the Rock. So I hired chaperones and had to deal with all these adult, like parents of students, and worked setting their schedule and doing interviews and all that. So
Mhm.
I've done it. I've done it and learned that I can do it. And it was weirder then because most of them were twice my age. I'm like 24 and they're like, I'm 45. But down here, yeah, with the kids, I've always just, it's a different also when watching them in the studio. Because professionals, they have their own agenda. Like watching a student get a step for the first time that's just been driving them crazy,
Mm.
the magic that those moments have, or like when they come off stage for a show and they feel really proud of what they've just done, those are the moments that make it worth it.
Yeah.
The days that are hard. Because, like I said, it's a time in our world right now where people don't have a lot to give because they don't have a lot to give. Everything's just kind of expensive and crazy, but the arts are the soul. And so I have to remind them that for our community, the arts are our soul
Mhm.
and they are the humanity. And you take away everything else, it is what really draws people places is the culture. You take a sporting event away, there's no sports team, but there's still a culture in the cities. There's still things to do. And we have to remind people that we're here for them. And then it's easy at Boca because we also do just a lot of programs for the outside. Like we have a Parkinson's program, BBT for PD. Twice a week, we have 15 to 20 people with Parkinson's in the studio dancing. It reminds you sometimes why we dance in the beginning because it's just like freedom. For them, it's a community of
Mhm.
people that are in the same situation. We've had students come in their walker and leave without it. Like literally forget that they brought it when they walked in the room because the music and ballet kind of just brought something out that their symptoms just weren't as bad when they left. I mean, we're not doctors, we don't do any of that, but it's therapy for the soul because, like I said, the arts are our soul. We also have a program, First Step, where we bring kids in from the Boys and Girls Club of Palm Beach County and Boca Raton Housing Authority. And so they come in 4 days a week and we do free classes. We provide transportation. We provide shoes, tight, or all of their dancewear needs. And we also keep them and launder them. So make sure they're clean and ready for them for their next class. So they're always ready. And so that one is like 7 through 10-year-old kids that wouldn't necessarily be exposed to ballet.
Mm.
Most people, if you're not in an upper, you're not really exposed to ballet unless you've had it somewhere else. And so they come in, and what we do is once they've graduated from the First Step program, if they choose to continue on, they can join the school curriculum free of charge. Because the last thing we want to do is set a boundary on someone. Let's get you in love with ballet and then tell you you can't do it.
Mhm.
That's another one of my things is finding funding for students like that and being able to pay for their tuition without taking a hit on the company and finding funds for that. And then as well as productions. And then we also do a college dance fair, which is pretty popular. I don't think I have to say too much about it because I feel like people know what it is by this point.
You'd be surprised. Talk about it because
Okay.
people might not. Yeah.
We do a college dance fair every Labor Day weekend, and we have at least 9 universities come. 9 universities teach for 2 days. They come in on Friday. They do like a little table time meet and greet. All the professors or deans or whoever's coming as to represent each school give their little blurb, and then it's like a college dance fair. It's a dance fair. You walk around with the tables, and the universities have all their swag and like, come get your brochures. And so that's Friday, and then Saturday is all day classes. So each student takes 3 classes each day. So they have a chance to take 6 out of the 9 teaching schools that are there. And so this year, I don't have a list off the top of my head. I think it's IU, Butler, TCU, UC Irvine, lots of the big schools.
Mhm.
And so they come in and the professors walk around and also watch the other classes. And so it's a good spot. Same like we talked about with the directors at the summer intensive. It's time to audition your schools. You get to take from 6 universities in a weekend. And it all started because we had a mom come back at one point and said, I just spent thousands of dollars to learn that my daughter doesn't want to go to any of these schools because there's nowhere one-stop shop.
Yeah.
In our generation, you flew all and dance universities. It's not like you're going to state schools where it's like a 30-minute drive here, 30-minute drive there. No, they are all over the country.
Mhm.
And so we've tried to at least let you narrow it down. So it's geared for high school seniors, juniors, and seniors. It sold out in 2.5 hours
Wow.
this year. Last year it sold out in 3 weeks. This year it sold out in 2.5 hours. And
That's
the wait list
incredible.
is already growing. So yeah, it's one that I think people have started to find especially these moms of dancers that are trying to help. We have kids from all over the country come to. We get kids from California, Washington, all over the country. Same thing with the summer intensive. We've got kids from not only all over the country, but all over the world. We had boys from the UK last year, girl from Taiwan, many of our Latin American countries. Just being South Florida, that's kind of pretty normal for us down here.
It's amazing. And I think for colleges, at some point you do want to go see the campus. That was part of what made me fall in love with Grand Valley, was going to that campus and being like, oh, I really love it here. I love the size. I felt really at home there, but like kind of whittling it down to get a smaller list of places you want to visit instead of trying to go to 10 different schools and realizing, like you said, I don't like any of these.
Right. And I mean, as dancers, the department's what you want first, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you want first because you're going to be spending most of your time there. So if you realize that, okay, I didn't really care for what these three schools were saying, even though they got a beautiful campus, I'm out. It's like when I was doing auditions, I knew IU wasn't for me. I did not like the huge state school campus. Grand Valley was a little big for me. I was like, this stuff is all spread out. Butler was like 3 blocks. Butler was like tiny, and I loved it.
That's interesting. I didn't realize that Butler was like a smaller.
Yeah, Butler's only got 5,000 undergrad.
Okay.
I mean, it's gotten bigger now. Now there's like a parking deck on campus, and none of that was there when we were there.
Yeah. But that is a consideration.
But Butler was in a big city, 10 minutes from downtown Indy, where Grand Valley was a huge campus in the middle of nowhere. Like Grand Rapids was 30 minutes away on a bus. So if you didn't have a car, going to Grand Rapids was kind of like, I'm going to take the bus down.
I don't think people realize that, you think of Grand Valley as being in Grand Rapids, but it's in Allendale, which is
which is tiny, surrounded by cornfields.
Which again, it didn't bother me in college because I was like, I'm just here to do college.
Yeah.
So, and I've always been a Midwestern small town kind of person. So I was like, this is great. But it's it is important to kind of know what you want. And like you said, if you can kind of whittle down to the programs that you like the dancing for, and then try to find one where the campus life also feels cohesive.
Yes.
That's such a great opportunity. And I love that you have the college fair to help dancers be able to do that in one place, cut down on those expenses. I mean, college is already so expensive. Figure out where you want to go to college shouldn't be as much as a semester of college.
And the professors all hang out. They don't just teach their class and leave. You'll see them with their notebooks with all the students' names. We give them a list of every student in every class. So they have their number, their name, their GPA, their academic year, literally in a note, clipboard. So when they walk in the room, I mean, we've had universities give out scholarships, university placement from this program. Now we're having some of the universities have used it as an actual audition. If you are coming, you can audition. So I don't know if it's happening this year, so I don't want to say who it was, because I don't want to get anyone the wrong idea. But last year we did have one of the universities let them use it as an audition for the program.
That's huge.
Usually we have between 13 and 14 schools. So only 9 teach, but 4 or 5 more come on the university's dime. We pay for the 9 schools that teach. We find funding and bring them in because we need our core, and then we invite other universities. Hey, you can't teach, but you can have a table in the room. You can walk around with this list and talk to these dancers. And so even if the school that you're taking classes from, you're not interested, but you still can ask questions to the other schools that might not be there. So if you're like, oh, they're not on the list, they might come, because it does happen where they will send representatives just to recruit, because the colleges have realized too that it's a good spot to recruit, and it's 75 very qualified dancers.
And dancers, I would definitely say ask questions in those scenarios, because I feel like I've been on the other side of, I used to go to COCA summer intensive auditions for MCB to look for dancers for our program, and I felt like dancers would be very shy about asking me questions and that kind of thing. And then I'd always get a lot of emails after. Right. But in person, it feels really hard, So I would just say to dancers, that's what they're there for. They want to talk to you. They want to talk about their program. If you have questions, take that opportunity and go up and just start a conversation.
That's me as a teacher too. I'm the teacher. Ask a question. I would rather explain it 3 times because you asked me to than you not have any idea what's going on. I'm in your corner. I am here to help you. Don't be afraid to use that. That's what I enjoy a lot about our programming is we're here to help these dancers go into this career, and not just in a cattle call audition style, but really get moments to interact and ask questions and get to audition these programs and these directors. It's just cool, and it makes my job fun. It's fun to raise money for these programs.
Yeah, if you're excited about what you're doing, it's easier to talk about it and basically sell the program to a donor.
Yes, I mean, because if you can't get them excited about it, we're not curing cancer as much as the arts is important. It's way easier today. Like, we're curing cancer, give me a donation. Like, the arts are curing our souls, so give us a donation. But I mean, it's more than that. It's makes me sound greedy. I'm not that greedy. It
No,
is,
it's not. But like you have these specific programs and you have to find somebody who connects to each of them because maybe they don't connect as much to a college dance fair, but they connect to your program for Parkinson's because they
yes.
have a personal connection there. So it's finding the programs and the people that match each
It's
other.
all people connections. It's all people connections. And as dancers going in, if you're going into a company, get to know your board members.
Mm-hmm.
They want to know who you are. They are in your corner. They are the ones that are actively fighting to keep the doors open, the boards and the directors. And as much as dancers, we get into our own headspace of like, this is me and I'm the dancer. There's a whole lot going on that unless you go behind the scenes and switch to that admin side, you don't realize sometimes how much is. So be thankful for those people. Learn how to do it because at some point you're going to have to advocate for yourselves.
Yeah. Ask to go to a board meeting.
Yes.
Ask for the minutes even. Learn how to read the 990.
Yes, learn how to read a 990. They are interesting once you learn how to read them.
Yeah.
You can learn a lot.
And if you know those things, you just have a better perspective, like you said, of what's going on in the entire
Organization.
picture.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because as a dancer, like if you've got any questions or something's a red flag, ask. Especially if you work for a nonprofit. It's all public knowledge.
Yes.
They will give it to you. They might not
They
like
have
it.
to.
Yeah, they have to.
The more you know and the more you're educated on it, you can ask a better question and
Yes.
really understand what's going on. So if you have issues with your company or you're curious about why is the pay like this or why is the season this length or what is the budget like for this,
You can go in with a little bit of ammunition in your own corner of like, I had a great year last year. Why are admin getting raises, but none of the dancers are? Or vice versa. Or, I mean, it's these things where you keep your company your company.
mm-hmm.
Because as dancers, split side of that, we are the face. We are the product. Where we do get in our head in that way. We are. People are coming to watch us. But at the same time, you got to be smart because there's another product in the corner waiting to push you out. You have to know the game, the whole game, not just your aspect of the game.
Yes, so true. Dancers get in their bubble, and I do think there is validity to saying, hey, I need to do my job, this is their job, like everyone has a job to do. But I think understanding others' jobs helps you do your job better and appreciate what they do, because I think sometimes like board members get a bad rap or the dancers can feel like they're not doing enough for us or whatever. And it's like, if you really know what they're doing, then you feel
People don't want to give to an organization. They want to give to people and programs. So if you don't think your board members are doing enough for you, get to know your board members.
They'll be more invested in you.
Invest in the people in the company. And the only way they're going to do that is by you. And so if I can give dancers something like, yeah, just look at the big picture in the career, as fun as it is. Don't forget that that seamstress might have 3 kids and was up sewing and her hands are bleeding on costumes at 3 o'clock in the morning because she's got a second job on top of. Don't forget that.
And a lot of the work that the admin is doing is more invisible to you as a dancer.
Yes.
So you can see the performance on stage.
Even moving into admin, I didn't realize how much went into it because I knew they did stuff behind the scenes that we didn't see. I mean, I was in my 30s dancing and I knew the company had to run somehow. But until you start looking at all these state grant panels and county grant panels and all these things in that kind of realm, you're like, whoa. Especially at Ballet Arkansas, I had more appreciation because I knew we were a staff of 3. So the directors were doing a lot of this on top of what they were doing in the studios. Yes, they came into the studio grouchy and in a bad mood and kind of tired. And, you know, at the moment, I didn't have any forgiveness for it because don't bring your energy and ruin my day. But at the same time, looking back now, I'm like, oh, I kind of get
They're
I kind of
stressed.
get it.
Yeah.
They're stressed. It's a stressful time in the arts. It's not what it was 100 years ago, where the arts were everything. We are fighting for every eye that we get, every click, every bit of attention that we can get. It's not easy. We're fighting to stay relevant and stay useful. And it's great that these competitions and stuff are doing, but at the same time, the art form is so much more than Grand Prix. And they get so much visibility, but there's a lot other things going on that I feel like as artists that we need to bring to the forefront of actually like, this is what's important. Like Grand Prix is great and it's cool for students to learn variations, but the program that the arts do for your community.
Mhm.
Every time I tell people, like at Boca, we have adult class 6 days a week. Over 500 adults came last month to take dance class.
Wow, that's amazing.
It doesn't stop just because you're a kid. You can still appreciate the arts and love the arts even into adulthood. Even if you never got to take a ballet class
Yeah.
when you were a kid, now's your chance. It's never too late.
I teach a class called Ballet 101 at Madison Ballet, and it's a 4-week session. We do it like 3 times a year, whereas literally, what is a plie? What is turnout? Where do you put your hand on the bar? What are the positions of the feet? So basic. And like, I always ask my students the first week, why did you want to take this class? And some of them are like, I took a class as a kid and I just want to kind of get back into it. And some of them say, I've always wanted to dance my whole life and I just never
got
did. And here I am. And I'm just like, that's amazing. And I always make a point to be like, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come take this class with me, because I know as an adult how hard it is to make time for your hobbies or something like that you want to do for yourself. And it's just such a big deal to do that. And I love that.
Now with kids, that gets even harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a 7-month-old. So.
Oh, wow. You're in the thick of it.
We're in the teething, not sleeping through the night.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. It's one that we had to wait until company life was over.
Yeah.
Because my wife, being a dancer, obviously, getting pregnant is one that you have to make a decision when you're dancing. You don't have to stop dancing completely, but there will come a point that, like, okay, if I'm pregnant mid-season, I don't get to do a show.
And managing your schedule as a dancer with a child, like having kids now, I don't really know how I would have done.
I wouldn't have done it. There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way we could have figured it out dancing.
I think I'm seeing companies starting to be more
open, yeah. We've got people in the company at Ballet Arkansas now that had kids when we were there.
Yeah.
They make it work. A lot of them have family around, which is always helpful. I'm glad we waited until we got to have that fun. I get to have that fun.
You do realize how little time you have. As a dancer, you don't have a lot of time. And then you have a kid and you're like, well, I really don't have time.
No, you realize how little. I was like walking around holding him yesterday going, what's it like to just sit down?
Yeah, I know.
And not have someone on me because mom's teaching class.
Give it a few years.
Milo comes to the studio, so he's a studio baby.
Yeah. Aww.
Hangs out, watches, he enjoys it. All the music, all the kids. Everyone's like, are you going to put him in ballet? I'm like, if he wants to.
Yeah.
He can totally do something else too. I am A-okay if he's like, I'd rather play sports. Okay, cool. I'll figure out how to get into sports.
Yeah, I think dancing's so innate for kids, so it's cool that he gets to grow up with you in that environment. Yeah.
Baby Bjorn in the studio.
Yep. Okay, last question, Toby. What advice would you give to dancers who are pursuing their professional career?
Besides, like what I said earlier, know what's going on. Be smart. Don't be so hard on yourselves. That was one of the biggest mind changes that changed after 30 that I wish I could have figured out earlier in my career. Just because you had a bad rehearsal is not a reflection on you as a person. It's not. And as dancers, we are often really hard at separating the two. And don't forget the joy in it. That's why we do it from the beginning. And that's when I knew it was time to be done. It's because I'd forgotten the joy. And now I get to take class every once in a blue moon. And so when I do, it's a little more like the cliche center stage line. It's like going home.
It's here.
Yeah, you know the one I'm talking about. We're that generation. These kids now, they don't know center stage. That's my advice. Go watch center stage.
Perfect. I love that, Toby. Okay, well, if anyone listening wants to learn more about you or about the programming at Boca Ballet Theatre, where can they go?
Yeah, they can visit bocaballet.org for anything about Boca Ballet. They can also find me on Instagram or all that stuff, Tobias3651. Right now, it's basically baby photos, so don't expect a whole lot of interesting there. But also, if they have any questions about any of our programming, they can shoot me an email at tlewellen@bocaballet.org. I would happily answer or pass them on to someone that can.
Perfect. Okay, I'll put all of that in the show notes for everyone listening. And Toby, this was so fun to reconnect with you and get to talk again. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you for tuning in to the Brainy Ballerina podcast. If you found this episode insightful, entertaining, or maybe a bit of both, I would so appreciate you taking a moment to leave a rating and hit subscribe. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode, and you'll join our community of dancers passionate about building a smart and sustainable career in the dance industry. Plus, your ratings help others discover the show too. I'll be back with a new episode next week. In the meantime, Be sure to follow along on Instagram at The Brainy Ballerina for your daily dose of dance career guidance.